because of an injury, Scoot Henderson just hadn't played really for the Ignite all that often. He has started to get real minutes, and over the course of the last week, he's played 3 games. He played the Santa Cruz Warriors, and then they played a back-to-back against the Stockton Kings over the weekend and on Monday. Scoot Henderson in that game against Santa Cruz dropped 31 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. In the first game against Stockton, he had 23 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. In the game last night against Stockton, he had 27 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Scoot Henderson is dominating the G League right now. And those numbers, like, they somehow understate what it feels like watching him on the court. It also like understates his impact because he is coming off the bench.
Yeah,
team.
I didn't watch him. I didn't watch him today, but I looked at the box score and I was watching clips. I said, "This sucker's still coming off the bench. Like, good for him." But he's been the spark plug off the bench where they're down 20, that all of a sudden they're back in it because of that momentum shift he's able to do.
Literally what happened in the Santa Cruz game. Like, they were down, I think it was like 57-38 or something. They put Scoot in, and his first stretch in the game was like, okay. It wasn't amazing or anything. But then they just, like, it seemed like they just told him go. Like, they said, hey, we're going to give you the ball. We're going to put it in your hands. Just go make shit happen. And it was fucking amazing.
It was staggering. He had that 30-point game on 10 of 15 shooting, and it just never felt forced either. Like, sometimes guys will have 30 and it's a force. Like, I was talking to someone earlier today, like Franz Wagner had 27 last night. But if you watch the game, like, end of the game, he was kind of searching a little bit. It was okay. He was trying. But like Scoot, it's like all within the rhythm of what he's doing. And that's the craziest thing. And this kid's 17 years old. Like, he's supposed to be a senior in high school. And I watched him on tape, on film last year because it's a funky COVID year. He's playing like Class 6A in Georgia. He's averaging 32 points per game, just kind of doing what he wanted, playing to the crowd a little bit. He'd have a dunk, he'd go flex, he'd hit a 3, go yell at somebody. So it's hard for me to take him like totally seriously because I hadn't seen him in a real evaluation type setting. So you watch a couple of G League games, and Jaden Hardy's had his struggles, so we'll get to that. So then his first game, he had like 8 and 6 or something like that. Solid, like kind of what I expected. You saw this hype and all these stories, and then when they actually let him go, like you said a little bit, it was incredible. I mean, just the way that he approaches pick and rolls and the different reads that he has, it's not like a quarterback where it's like, here's my pre-snap reads. It's like he's like seeing the play in the air and then naturally, instinctively making the move. There's nothing robotic about how he splits the D, then spins and looks opposite. And another thing I'll say, and as smooth as he is and not forcing it, that first game he had 5 assists. He probably should have had 8 or 9. There was a few plays where he over-dribbled. He hit opposite in the corner. Guys just missed a wide-open 3. Michael Foster missed a bucket right around the rim. So just very exciting as a player and a prospect. And for him to do this right now against NBA competition, that Santa Cruz game, he had Jonathan Kuminga on ice skates. He was switched on to Jeff Doughton. Like there's guys that are NBA level players that he's doing it against. This isn't college. This isn't the overtime thing where the competition can be shaky. This was against bona fide guys, and that was the most impressive thing for me.
Yeah, like that Santa Cruz team is pretty good. Like you said, like Jeff Doughton was a great defender at Rhode Island.
Very good.
Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. Moody didn't play a ton in that game, but like Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga were lottery picks last year.
Yeah.
And he made Santa Cruz at times, frankly, look silly. He had an incredible feel for exactly how to approach ball screens.
Yeah.
He would take a side ball screen and you'd think that he's going to go around into the middle of the floor, and then he'd throw a wicked left to right crossover and reject it, and not just try and attack the rim. And we're going to talk about a player in a little bit here that I think is still struggling with some of these reads. He knows exactly what his reads are. He's looking at the help defender the entire time. He's hitting that cross corner kick out with ease. He's seeing that angle so simply. He's seeing lob passes. He's seeing the roller. He's seeing short rolls, like every single thing imaginable that Scoot Henderson needs to hit. Nothing about it is forced. He's scoring 31 points, 23 points, 27 points. It's efficient. It's smart. It's within the flow of the offense. Sometimes it's out in transition. Like he had a play last night where he like goes right to left crossover, like carries the ball like a running back, almost like in his left hand, and then jumps and in midair switches it to his right hand on the left side of the rim and throws it down for a dunk with like the easiest explosive pop that you'll see. I mean, he is explosive. He is reactive. There's just no. I don't know. Like there are faults, and we'll talk about the faults. But like out of ball screens, making reads, getting to the basket, attacking the paint, getting a foot in the paint, there is no real weakness there. I don't think.
No, he's powerful too. It's not one of these guards that gets in the lane and you hope he jumps up. It's like, well, I hope he can get to the free throw line. And he does. Like, he does get to the free throw line. But he's going there to finish. He's going there to dunk. And the steals too. He's a very good on-the-ball defender. Those 3 games, he had 3 steals, 2 steals, 4 steals. And I think it was Santa Cruz. It was like a 2-point game. Actually, it was a tie game. It was a ref show at the end. They called a loose ball foul for free throws to end it, which was insane. Mm-hmm. But he was there. He was in the mix. He has to close. He's playing 30 minutes despite – not starting. The jumper, I guess, is the one thing that we'd say we're not worried, just hesitant, just pause button a little bit. The mid-range stuff looks better. Like his legs get a little bit wide, but it looks smooth. Totally. He's comfortable going left to right, coming up ball screens, pulling up right away. He hit a 3 or 2 in a couple of his other games. He said he's worked with a trainer to get better. So we'll often overuse like scratching the surface, but I truly believe that this kid is still just figuring out in a good sense at being so young and putting up these numbers in 3 consecutive games. And there's still a lot to get better. And everyone's just really excited about him. And unfortunately for us, he's a year away from the draft. So we'll be talking about him ad nauseum until then. But a nice name to kind of put up there at that first tier of the 2023 draft, which seems wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've talked to some scouts over the last few days, and for a long time, it's been, quote unquote, predetermined that French center Victor Wembanyama is going to be the number 1 overall pick in the 2023 NBA draft. He's 7'4" and has incredibly long arms and has real ball skills, some ability to score, some ability to shoot, incredible defensively. I mean, you go back and you watch the U19 game. He played as an underage player last summer against the United States, against guys like Chet Holmgren, Jaden Ivey. It was remarkable. He was absolutely phenomenal in that game. Now, it's not a done deal that he goes number 1 at this point. Scoot Henderson has genuinely put himself in the mix. And I think, frankly, I would take Scoot right now as the guy in that class. It's early. We're still, 18 months away from that draft. So,
there's some time on the clock.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen here. But, I mean, Scoot, Wembanyama, like these guys would go number 1 in 2022 pretty easily, in my opinion. And what we've seen from Scoot so far is nothing short of remarkable, I don't think.
It is. The only thing for me to be Debbie Downer a little bit is I don't want to be prisoner of the moment. Prisoner of the moment. Come on. He's been awesome. He's been awesome for 3 games. If you just hit pause and we rewound this to July or August, we would be saying the same exact thing about Victor Wembanyama. We'd be complaining that he didn't win MVP. It was Chet, despite USA winning gold. Victor was the guy. Everyone's going nuts about his blocks, his length, his fluidity, getting up and down the court, shooting a little bit.
But here's the difference, though, between those two things is Scoot now has shown it against a super high level in the G League. Like even Wembanyama, he like got some minutes last year at high levels. But for the most part, like it was U19, he played in like the city league, like in Paris with Ousmane Deng. And it was not a super high level of competition that he was ever going against. The competition we're seeing Scoot play against night after night now consistently is much higher than anything we've seen from Wembanyama so far.
Absolutely.
Up until this year, I mean.
Up until this year. Because, and when you play FIBA and you're playing Chet Holmgren, who is at least discussed as a top pick, he might be 2 or 3. I don't think he'll get beyond that range. So he kind of played who he played, and then this season started slow. I think he's been injured a little bit, so he hasn't even played internationally that much this calendar season, I guess is one way of putting it. but it's fun. It's good to have like another name at the top, and now we're all rushing to see the latest clips and highlights and people saying that Scoot Henderson's the best prospect in the world and has great bloodlines. His family's all high-level athletes, seems to have his head on his shoulders, approaches the game the right way, works on his game, gets in the gym with his trainers, just seems singularly focused on improvement. And if you're already doing that and scoring 31, 22, and 27 in stride at 17, which I keep beating over the head, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I don't know how else to say it.
The fact that he's 17 is insane to me. The 3 games of tape he's shown so far this week are better than any tape that Jalen Green showed in the G League.
Right. For 3 games, yes, for sure.
Yeah. Like these 3 games are better than any singular game Jalen Green played last year in the G League.
Yeah. Top of my head, like, I would agree with you, but the very least the way it showed, and it wasn't like I was rooting or hoping for Jalen Green to do this or that, because I think prospects are just gonna either figure out they won't, but he did. Like he slowed his game down a little bit. He learned how to use screens a little better. He learned to limit his dribbles and his actions. And Scoot's just like, I just like watching him play. Just like knows how to play basketball, and you're not rooting for anything because you know he's going to make some wild but under control play and maybe tries to dunk it, maybe throws it over his head for an assist. So yeah, it's different brands of basketball. But we had this kind of like not anti, but sort of like a negative light on G League Ignite a couple pods ago, just because those guys hadn't really lived up to expectations, the high level names. And now that Scoot is healthy as a 2-year guy, which at the time seemed ambitious, it looks like it's worth every penny.